Thank you very much. It is good to see you all here, and I promise this is going to be a tight 5 minutes. So I decided to run for secretary of the county GOP board because of my desire to serve the membership and to grow the party. Okay, I had a speech written for tonight, but as I thought about giving that speech last night, something in my gut told me that those were not the words that I needed to speak to you tonight. Now, I must say, if there's one thing in politics that frustrates me is the supernatural ability of would-be leaders to try and find some scapegoat to blame whenever things go wrong, to deflect their own responsibilities, or just sometimes to gain power for themselves. So, if I call out individuals by name, please know that I am not casting blame or questioning their motives. I simply want all of us to reflect on the current situation so that we might all work to right some imbalances. If we want to start winning statewide elections again, we have to be hitting on all cylinders. Okay, so how many of you know how the RPW Executive Committee works? That is the body that elects the chairman of the state party. Now, you may be surprised to learn that the county chairmen don't actually get to vote for the chairman of the state party. However, there are privileged positions on the executive committee board for groups that are not officially a part of the party, and those people do get to vote for chairman. For example, one of those seats is for the chairman of the Wisconsin African American Council. That is a group, you may be interested to know, that has denied membership to Cindy Werner many times over the years. Gerard Randall is the African American Council chairman. And in addition to that title, he was also recently elected as the first vice chair of the RPW Executive Committee, the position directly below Brian Schimming. That means that he occupies 2 seats on the executive committee, something that is not uncommon. Indeed, it seems to be the preferred way of consolidating power on the committee. Now, you would think that being elected first vice chair must mean that Gerard is doing great work. African Americans must be joining the party and voting for our candidates in record numbers. But we all know that is not the case. In fact, Wisconsin African American Council doesn't even have a website. And as far as I can tell, they didn't hold a single event during Black History Month. So what is the problem here? Stick with me. Senator Van Wanggaard also occupies a privileged seat on the executive committee. He is chairman of the Wisconsin Republican Labor Council, another group which doesn't have a website. Indeed, the group doesn't seem to exist at all. It seems to exist solely for the purpose of having Senator Van Wanggaard in the executive committee. So now you take those 2 demographics, African Americans and blue-collar workers. These are very important demographics for winning statewide elections now and in the future, and the positions on the executive committee which are charged with the outreach to those demographics are functionally non-existent. In my opinion, these positions are simply meant to keep the old guard in charge. Now, you remember Scott talking earlier about the importance of membership. The Wisconsin Republican Party Constitution says in Article 3 that members must believe in 5 objectives. The 4th objective is to maintain control of the RPW in the hands of grassroots Republicans. Now, some would claim that the party is in the hands of grassroots members, but I disagree. Grassroots Republicans would not deny Cindy Werner membership to the African American Council, and they definitely would not call the police on conservatives that are trying to attend the county caucus like Senator Van Wanggaard did down in Racine a few weeks ago. Now, we do have many, many grassroots volunteers, and God bless them. It is wonderful to have people who are not involved because of the titles that they will hold, but because they want to do the right thing for their country and for their families. But grassroots volunteers are not in charge of the party the executive committee is. And while some people will point out that many of the congressional district chairs and vice chairs on the committee are themselves volunteers and sacrifice much of their time, people like Gerard and Van Wanggaard are definitely not unpaid volunteers. And the elected officials and political consultants on the executive committee are flush with political capital. These folks are charged with representing their districts and political interests. They don't represent the grassroots. In fact, I personally think elected officials and or political consultants should not be allowed to serve on the committee. It's a conflict of interest. Our objective needs to be to keep control of the party in the hands of the grassroots. Please attend the 5th Congressional Caucus. Please elect the chair and vice chair that will represent the grassroots. Those 2 offices are on the executive committee. Thank you.